Hi, Steve Harrison here. Would you like more out of life, more out of your business, more out of yourself? Would you want to go to the next level in any aspect of life? Well, that's what I'm going to do for you today. I'm going to bring you a guest who is a relationship expert. Jennie Lynn is the author of Magnetic Love, Stop Chasing What You Want, Start Attracting It. She's also a nurse, professional model, triple pro champion natural bodybuilder, an internet marketer, and a certified consultant with Bob Proctor. Jennie, welcome.
Thanks, Steve. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Yeah, and you've got quite a story. When we talk about love, magnetic love, the title of your book, you've got really an interesting story behind why you wrote the book. Why don't you share that with us?
Yeah, so I had the pleasure to meet Bob Proctor back in December. And it was while I was talking with him, I think that there's something whenever you're in his presence, ideas come, the potential comes to the surface. And I decided that I was explaining to him how I finally fell in love using the law of attraction. And it kind of inspired me to go back and help people who might have been struggling the way I was and blocking myself from finding love and everything else I wanted. So I decided I want to write a book because I can really share my message on a massive scale and really kind of go back into reliving some of the mistakes that I was making that I can kind of connect to my readers and help them through those struggles so they don't have to waste the time and the frustration that I went through.
Wow. Now it's interesting. People look at you. You're a model. You're very fit. You've been won all kinds of awards. I mean, you're somebody who has so much going for her. So people might look at you and say, "Well, I have trouble believing she ever had trouble attracting love."
Yeah.
What do you say to those folks?
I think it's kind of funny because I did get that a lot, and I always ask myself, I have so much to offer. What am I doing wrong? I really want to attract somebody, and I realized that part of it was perfection. In being a bodybuilder, you kind of have this perfectionistic tendency, and that is actually fear-based. And what I explain about a little bit in the book is we have two emotions that we really talk about is love and fear. And we might be thinking on a conscious level that we're, okay, I want to love somebody, but really I was doing it out of fear of being alone or fear of not ever having that person in my life and that I needed it and wanted it, and that's really what the universe was responding. It was more needing, more wanting, and less of me discovering what this was all about and why I was thinking certain things and maybe subconsciously blocking myself from finding that love because I was like perfectionistic or I didn't really love myself first and set the tone for the relationships. That's why relationship after relationship failed. And like I said, it was a cascade of events, a lot of little mistakes that I was making that I wasn't even really aware of at that point. But
like what's one?
Well, I think one of them was really not knowing what love really is. I was looking at a relationship and I would get so infatuated and I would just be like, this is great, this is the one. And then when it would all come crashing down, I was like, what happened? And then I sometimes we have the tendency to blame the other person. And really what I have to say is, what was I doing wrong? Because I played a part in this. And we have to understand that, again, like not every relationship's going to work. And if we see a pattern of things that are going wrong or like relationship after relationship is failing, it's like, what's the common denominator here? And so really I had to study, and what I found was that I didn't love myself because I wasn't basically getting out of a bad relationship to make room for the good one or saying I deserved better. I was settling. And I was getting what I settled for, but because I didn't love myself, I didn't set that tone for what I was willing to say, I deserve this. So when I finally pushed away a relationship that wasn't meant for me because I wasn't just gonna tolerate it because I would rather be with somebody than be alone, it made room for the universe to send me that person. And I finally made a vision board for the first time and got really clear on exactly what I wanted in a partner and made sure I was all of those things.
Wow. So that's a lot of lessons there. Saying no ended up opening the door for creating the vision board. Talk about this idea of loving yourself. Some people might hear that and say, well, that sounds pretty selfish. What do you say?
Well, I think there's a difference between saying, that you love yourself, you accept yourself, and that you have a good relationship with who you are, your body, your mind, your spirit, and you know who you are, versus that grandiosity, like I'm better than people. Like that's not what I mean when I'm saying I love myself, but we need to have a good relationship with who we are. We always have that inner self-critic that's always like, criticizing us. And for me, like I said, that perfectionistic tendency, I went overboard.
That's true, because to be a champion, right, to be a champion bodybuilder or in anything, you have to have high standards. And a lot of times the champions are perfectionists. They'll make a big deal of that. And there is a dark side. So what do you say to people who are watching this and they totally relate to the dark side, that perfectionism? What can they do to overcome it?
So what I found was that again, it can go back to our habits, because they're things we're doing without really consciously thinking. So for me, I would, look in the mirror and I would look right at my flaws, and I just totally overlooked my own beauty. Like I said, I didn't see the pretty girl in the mirror that everybody else saw. That's why they didn't see the person in me that was kind of suffering inside. And I always kind of put on a happy face and said everything's okay, but really inside I was like, I felt alone and I felt, fearful, because I didn't understand myself, and I really was just kind of, narrow-minded in that perfectionism. And so what I would say is that you need to really gain a level of awareness about yourself, really start studying who you are, and like I said, understanding what love really is, the fact that it's almost like oxygen, it's all around us and we just tune into it like a frequency, because we're all energetic beings. We communicate through energy. We have more than just the 5 senses. And like I said, a lot of this stuff is unfortunately not taught in school, and that's why I wrote the book, is to really help people understand. A lot of people have heard of the law of attraction or the movie The Secret, but it's not just a matter of thinking and hoping and wishing for something. Like, you have to be emotionally connected to it and remove the blocks, the paradigms, the habits that we have that are kind of keeping us stuck where we are. And until you push beyond that, like I said, break through the fear and understand that level of awareness, can you then connect with your desires?
Wow. And this book really is perfect, not just for somebody who may be trying to find Mr. Right or Ms. Right, but actually maybe somebody who's been in a relationship that they would consider themselves happy in that relationship. But there's a lot to learn from your book, even for people who feel like, hey, I'm in a good relationship now. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, I think a lot of people, I even put in a checklist in there about like the 20 reasons why relationships actually fail or never start. So I think a lot of people, it could be complacency, it could be a lack of gratitude, it could be, like, again, a pattern that they've been carrying into the relationships, baggage. We all have baggage. But just understanding too, again, that our habits are really what drive our consciousness. And that's why, we could be getting a lack of money, which is another reason why a lot of relationships fail, is they're fighting over money. So it's like, well, if we can help them, make more money or raise their income or do something they love, find passion, that could help them have a better relationship. Or if they're not healthy, they're not happy. They're not, like, health is the real wealth. So on a deep level, we can heal ourselves. And that I actually explained in the book how, by basically focusing on health and healing and stop looking at my flaws, and I started to look at my beauty, it changed my vibration, put me in a better mood, put me in more of a positive path, that I was able to attract what I wanted, which was health and healing. And so a lot of this, again, it's like when you make that quantum leap, when you raise your level of awareness, you're aware of the habits that are keeping you stuck, bad things that you're doing that you weren't aware of. You can change that, and it totally changes your life. And love is such a powerful force. It's such a beautiful energy. It's the only thing that can transcend all time and space. And that's why it's like, our heart, it's just, that's the most powerful force that can emanate from you. And it's like, when you can share that, when it's coming from you, you feel so alive. And that's the thing, is I felt half alive, and I actually caused an autoimmune condition, Hashimoto's, where I was, crippling fatigue. And that's the thing, is all that self-criticism was starting to erode my health. And I think that, like I said, we abuse ourselves more than other people. And like I said, if there's a book in the 4 Agreements that said, if you stay with somebody that abuses you just a little less than you abuse yourself, you'll stay in that relationship. But if they abuse you slightly more than you'll probably let it go. But I think that we have to understand, like, that we are all, energetic beings, and like, to be able to be in harmony with somebody, that's what love is it's true resonance and synchronicity. And it takes the true understanding of who we are to fully understand another and understand their habits, their paradigms, that there's different love languages that we all speak, so that we can have a harmonious relationship that will last. 'Cause that's the goal. We got to get out of our head and into our heart, get rid of the ego, and really learn what love is all about. It's not just, well, a marriage even. It's more than just love.
Yeah.
It's really just getting outside of yourself and thinking about the other person too.
So what advice would you give somebody, as we wrap up here, and just, I'm thinking somebody might be watching this, they might feel stuck. They might feel stuck in their relationships, they might feel stuck in their life, and they've read lots of books, they've been to lots of seminars, they kind of feel like they've heard it all. Why this book? What's this book going to do for them?
Well, I think that whenever you're looking at a problem that you've maybe done every course or read every book and you still don't have the results, you got to say, what is the common denominator of this? What's the common denominator of success? And it's understanding, again, that there's blocks that we have, and they said this, these universal laws govern our world, and whether you believe in them or not, if I drop something, it's going to fall to the floor. It can never go up unless you're in space. But where there's gravity, that's a universal law. Things drop. So like the law of attraction, whether you believe in it or not, it's an absolute law. So it's operating. It's responding to you. It's responding to your emotions, your vibration. And so if you're not aware of this and you don't study it, then you're probably going to get a lot of things you don't want. And if you're focusing on what you don't want, you're going to get what you don't want. So we have to help people shift that consciousness, understand their habits. And the paradigms, like I said, are basically a multitude of habits that we've picked up from when we were a young age, programming or our certain belief systems that, like I said, maybe been operating on a subconscious level. So when you understand the power of your mind, like what's the difference between a successful person and an unsuccessful person? Why do some people get what they want and others don't? It's understanding that they could either be doing it like knowingly, they're conscious competent, or they could be doing it unknowingly, unconscious competent. You want to become a conscious competent. The common denominator of success is making a habit of things that failures don't like to do. So that's why I was saying the subtitle of my book is Stop Chasing What You Want, Start Attracting It, because when we chase things, you know, it's time consuming, it's hard work, and there's no guarantee, but when you use science, when you use absolute law, it works every time. It takes study. If you want that skill, the first law of learning is repetition. So in my book, I think, like I said, I bridge the gap between, like I said, if you've heard of the law of attraction, why is it not working for me? You gotta study this a little bit, learn a little bit about it, and get fascinated with it. Get emotionally connected to what you want. Get specific and practice this, like any skill, you know.
Yeah. Well, that's what's great. You know, you're giving people a chance to study, to apply, and you've done it. They can do it too. So thanks for joining me.
Thanks you so much, Steve. I appreciate it.